Hi everyone, I hope you have all enjoyed the networking pause. A second one will take place during the lunchtime at 11:55. But now it is time for the presentation MIMS AI Powered Technology Applied in Precision Health and Agriculture, presented by Sarah Jenna. My name is Barbara Decel and I am the Health Research Advisor at IVADO. I will be the moderator for this presentation. Before to start, I'd like to say a few words. As the presentations are back-to-back and we will ensure to be respectful of the time of each guest speaker, I will play the role of the time master. I will indicate that there are 2 minutes left or that it's time for the last question. For questions, there is no audio interaction option with the platform. You can use the chat box on the right side of your screen. Please use the question tab, otherwise I could miss some of your questions. Finally, all presentations are recorded and will be available later. Now, let me introduce you to Sarah Jenna. Sarah obtained her PhD in cell and structural biology from the University Aix-Marseille in France in 1998 and a junior Canadian research chair in integrative genomics and cell signaling at UQAM in 2006. As a co-founder and CEO of MIMS Inc., she translates this expertise to provide MIMS with state-of-the-art integrative genomics abilities and attention to specific needs of biologist users. She's a board member of CQDM and Bio-Québec. With no further ado, the floor is yours, Sarah.
Thank you, Barbara. So share my screen. I'm very happy to be here and present you MIMS. So I'll start with a brief introduction about what MIMS is. So we are a software company based in Montreal. We are in activity for almost 4 years. We have right now 39 employees. As a startup, we raised significant amount of funding, equity funds, more than 8 million, and we also signed more than $6 million contracts with different organizations in the biopharma, agriculture, and also hospitals field. So, as I said, MIMS is a software company. We're developing augmented intelligence software using systems biology to help biopharma companies develop drugs with increased efficacy. We have also activities in agriculture. Most of our commercial activities right now are in biopharma, so I will really focus my presentation on that. And at the very end, I will present our activity in the agriculture space. So, why drug efficacy is important? As you might know, it takes almost 10 years and $1 billion to have one drug approved by FDA. And this process is really characterized by a high failure rate at phase 2 and 3 of clinical trial that is mainly due to a lack of drug efficacy. And this is mainly due to the fact that patients with a given disease do not respond the same way to a given drug. So that's a reason why we hear about a lot about personalized medicine for quite a long time. Now, can we address these problematics? The most common ways of addressing it is to identify biomarkers, to identify the subgroup of patients to give that will benefit from this drug once the drug is approved by FDA or during a clinical trial process. But this is not quite optimal because the drug itself has not been targeted for this specific group of patients. So what we are proposing to pharma and what they are using our software for is really to understand the heterogeneity between patients at very early stage of drug development so that they can focus on a subgroup of patients and identify better targets and hopefully reduce significantly the failure rate at phase 2 and 3 and save an amazing amount of money that could reach $500 million per drug approved by FDA. So how do we do that? So to do that, actually, we rely on existing patient data. And we use this patient data, multi-omic data, clinical data, historical data, or environmental data to build one knowledge graph per patient. We also use a lot of knowledge coming from the literature to build this graph. And after what we do, we use graph classification techniques to classify patients based on this graph. and identify pattern capture to identify targets and biomarker, discriminating one group to another group of patients. Of course, you don't do that overnight, and we're blessed to capitalize our technology on more than 30 years of cumulated expertise and experience in systems biology, bioinformatics, machine learning, and AI. I myself, as Barbara said, a former Canada research chair in systems biology, also called integrative genomics and cell signaling. My two co-founders, so Abdoulaye Banguere Diallo, our chief scientist, is a renowned bioinformatician, still a university professor at UQAM, that received in 2018 the Next Einstein Fellow Prize for his career at the interface of bioinformatics and machine learning. And Michael Camus is an AI specialist that developed autonomous systems based on massive multi-agent systems. He worked with the European Defence and Space Agencies on the Galileo project, for example, and we adapted his GOMAS technology to the life science space as part of MIMS. Our technology is based on more than 30 peer-reviewed publications in different fields from bioinformatics, systems biology, multi-omic data integration, machine learning applied to target drug biomarker discovery, ontologies, natural language processing, cognitive informatics, and also the GOMAS core that is developed by Michael. So what are we doing exactly? So we're developing software that are resolving different kind of challenges that pharma companies will have to resolve if they want to bring personalized medicine at the target discovery step. So the first challenge is to do that. You need to integrate a multidisciplinary team that integrate bioinformatics, machine learning, systems biology, and AI technology, and also this into a big engineering core that allows these applications to be robust and scalable. Of course, individually, these resources are difficult to find. They're difficult to integrate. And on top of that, biopharma usually don't want to become software company. So they like to rely on robust and industrial software to do so. So it's what we're providing them with a platform that has a huge engineering core and that has like ready-to-be-used solutions, integrating all the different expertise for patient stratification, target, and biomarker discovery. As part of this expertise, or this solution, particularly for patient stratification, as I told you, we are inferring using supervised and semi-supervised machine learning techniques, knowledge graphs per patient, and after using graph embedding and graph classification techniques to classify a patient based on their graph. And these techniques are adapted depending on the objective of the client, whether they want to stratify patients for prognostic objective or efficiency, so to identify good versus bad responders, and to identify targets in different subgroups. And after we use pattern capture techniques to identify biomarkers and targets. The second challenge that needs to be resolved to do that is to do this knowledge graph per patient is acquiring the knowledge and the data required to do that. So the knowledge in the public space is mostly in unstructured format, so in articles. And for the structured part is dispersed in hundreds of databases. So what we do is that we provide through our platform access to a comprehensive and up-to-date knowledge base that is composed on three major components. The first component is knowledge extracted directly using natural language processing from articles. The second component is integration of different structured databases that are dispersed in the world. We have to date 40 databases. We aim to reach 150 databases within the next 2 years. And we're also aggregating patient data that we're collecting from public repositories, but we're also establishing partnerships with private and public organizations that are collecting data and that are willing to give access to this data to the pharmaceutical industry. The third and fourth challenge that we're resolving is really an engineering challenge. The life science industry is really characterized by the fact that they have very sensitive and heavy data to deal with, particularly patient data. So we are providing them with an infrastructure, cloud computing infrastructure, that is robust and that has all security certified. So we are GDPR, EPA, PIPEDA certified. The additional engineering piece that is extremely important in our space is the ability to do what we call distributed computing and federated learning. To be GDPR compliant, you need to have data stay in the geographic locations where are the patients and where they are being collected. So by being able to do distributed computing and federated learning, we help our clients to select virtual cohorts of patients with given clinical characteristics with data that might be located in different areas in the world, and to do the analysis and the stratification with it without moving the data around. And this is something that is extremely important. The last challenge that needs to be resolved is the fact that scientists working in the pharma industry that are in charge of identifying targets are, for 80% of them, life scientists without expertise in computer science or bioinformatics or machine learning. So we needed to have a solution that could be used by these life scientists. And it's why we call MIMS system augmented intelligence system. So our strategy here is not to give a list of targets with the probability of this target to be interesting for the clients, but really to have our users that are expert in their field being able to rely on their own expertise and at the same time on the modeling ability of the machine so that they are able to find the target. And it's why we have to create this human machine synergy that is really characteristic of augmented intelligence system. So we have two ways actually our users and partners are using our platform. We have recently established a partnership with the SHIM that is like opening actually this MIMS site line here. The SHIM will use CoffSite, which is a knowledge graph that is built on COVID-19 specifically, and that will be used by clinicians to be up to date on the literature in this field. Why this is important for us, first of all, because we wanted to help clinicians during the pandemic, and we'll also provide equivalent knowledge graph for cancer and autoimmune diseases. But at the same time, we're able to collect feedback and validation from these clinicians that enrich the quality of our graph. And this graph is after used to design knowledge graph per patients that are used as part of our MIMScovery platform that is used by biopharma industry and also some hospitals to stratify populations of patients, identify targets and biomarker. Right now, our MIMScovery solution is used as part of two partnerships with the MUHC and the Jewish General Hospital. These two are on oncology. With Mark Basic at the Jewish, we are identifying biomarkers to identifying good responders to capecitabine on a triple-negative breast cancer cohort. And with Peter Metrakos at the MUHC, we're identifying biomarkers to identify good responders to anti-angiogenic treatments for patients with colon cancer with liver metastasis. Our solutions are also used by two big pharma that their name's still confidential, and we are pending announcing very soon also partnership with pharmas in the COVID-19 space. So a few words, I have like 3 minutes left, so I'll talk a little bit of our agro space. We have also activities in the agro sector. The distinction between the agro and the pharma actually right now is really a matter of how ready these markets are to adopt AI, and mostly the fact that how ready they are and for how long did they start collecting data. And of course, the agro space, while this will be a huge market for AI, particularly in the omics space for big mammals, it's still a little bit early, but there are like very key companies that had a very data science vision for quite a long time, that like Valacta in the dairy sector that collected data on cows, on 1.6 million cows actually for more than 15 years, and that are partners to us in this project. So the Dalacta project is a project that is led actually by Abdullah as a university professor at UCAM, and aims at generating knowledge graph on cows. Integrating different information on pedigree, production, genetics, herd health, and nutrition environment on the cow, and to use different technique, LSTM and deep learning techniques to generate models that could be used to make different kind of predictions. And the first model that was developed as part of this project is a MIMs model that aimed to predict 1 year in advance whether a cow will be productive next year. And this is a quite important prediction because there is a lot of cost that the farmers has to engage to have a cow going into a new lactation cycle. And what we showed is that our model outperformed significantly the ARIMA model that is currently used by Valacta to support, to help their farmers in their decisions. So based on these nice preliminary informations, then we are starting a second project that is funded by the CRIBIC. And I forgot to mention that the first project was funded by Genome Canada and Genome Quebec. So this resilience project actually will aim to better understand what cows that are resilient to environmental stress and cows that are not, and to identify remediation strategy to increase the resilience of the cow. And this is particularly an important project considering environmental changes and the fact that you have like a lot of different differences in temperature in farms that impact the productivity of the cow. And with that, I will thank you. I'll thank my team, and I will take any question you might have. You have my email here, sarah@mims.ai. I will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. So a first question for you in the chat box. So do you use in your processes GPT-3? So maybe Giovanni, could you?
Probably, I don't know, but if it's a really technical GPT-3, I have no idea what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah. So maybe, Giovanni, could you precise what is GPT-3 in the chat? And we will ask the question again to Sarah.
Yeah.
So if there is no question, I have one or two questions for you, Sarah, while we wait for the answer of Giovanni.
Sure.
As a life scientist, which challenges were you trying to tackle when you have created MIMS, and which challenges have you discovered during your journey with MIMS?
So the biggest challenge that we wanted really to address with MIMS, and that on my side actually, was really the fact that since the sequencing of genomes, life scientists were really dependent on data scientists, bioinformaticians, etc. And we wanted to be able to digitalize somehow this expertise so that life scientists that have really the expertise on the biology and on the disease can really be more hands-on into the discovery process. Now, the challenges that we discover, and not surprisingly really, is there is a lot of challenges to create this synergy between the human and the machine, and to try to have something that is accessible, that is appealing, and that you can really work on. So we have a lot of educational content that needs to be provided to our clients so that they really become, from molecular biologists, transform themselves into systems biologists, so that they can really use our software to its maximum capability and be able to identify targets and biomarker and really understand what everything means with this data. So this is, and we had like the chance to go to the Google Accelerator, and we worked a lot about like the not only the UX design, but the user experience and how you improve that in this kind of augmented intelligence system. So this is super interesting on the software side. This is also super interesting actually to figure out the process of helping a molecular biologist to have a more systems biology vision. I think in engineering part, UX design part, and the systems biologist and life science part of MIMS, we have a lot of fun working on that.
Thanks for your answer. So Giovanni answer. So GPT-3, Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, is an autoregressive language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. It is used when reading, summarizing, and understanding data.
So my answer is I'm not the good person to answer this question at least. Okay. But send me your email, contact me through email, and I'll connect you with our NLP team. That will be very happy to answer your questions on that. And actually, we will connect with a lot of academic people in the NLP space to move our technology forwards. So this our discussion that we have with IVADO, and we have also with Mila. So we'll be very happy to discuss about like these topics and how to do things and brainstorm on these topics. So feel free to contact me, Sarah@mims.ai, and I will forward the mail to the right person at MIMS.
So Giovanni, you can also use the moment for the networking that will take place during the lunch. You can contact Sarah at that moment. There is a second question. Why do you work within a SaaS framework?
So when you want, different reason. First, to do the distributed computing and federated learning, you need to be cloud because we have data of our clients and our partners that are distributed everywhere. The other things is really accessibility to our software. And at the engineering level, for a reason that I will not be able to explain in detail, that my CTO really explained me several times already, that was the best solutions for us to be able to manage all the activities that MIMS software is doing. We are collecting, aggregating a lot of data in real time. We are enabling federated learning and distributed computing in real time as well for a lot of clients at the same time. So we needed to have this core AI infrastructure in the cloud that is managing all the movement of informations and the different requests in all different servers that we have in the world. And here again, you can contact me and I can definitely connect you with Michael that will be able to explain you that in more detail.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. So I have another question, maybe the last one. You have projects in human health and agriculture. Which challenges are common to both sectors and which are very different? So, for instance, I know that in animals, in agriculture, they all have a very similar genomic background, which can be very different for the precision medicines challenges.
Yeah, actually, for example, we're working on autoimmune diseases, and there are a lot. There are not like so much differences between individuals. So the common things really technologically is the data privacy. So all the engineering actually is extremely common. Is the common piece of these two space. So. The augmented intelligence system as well, because the agro space has also animal life scientists, biologists that do not know how to do bioinformatics as biologists in the health sector. In terms of differences. There are no whole genome sequencing really for cows or for big animals. They are like more like genotyping. It's like genomics only and not like multi-omic as in human. In human, we have like project in immunology, for example, transcriptomic, genomic, epigenomic, metabolomic, flow cytometry clinical data, while the only omic that we have in cows is really the genomic part.